friend. Welcome back to my kitchen. If YouTube brought you here, welcome. And welcome to Use It Up Week. If you missed my last video, I had a Use It Up challenge where I created a delicious pasta primavera out of what was left in my freezer and my pantry. I'll leave that video here and also in the description below. This time, I'm going to be reinventing some leftovers that I found in my kitchen. So I have a half of a pound of browned ground beef, and I have some mashed potatoes that I made last night, and I am going to be reinventing these two things to create a whole new dish. So what do you say? Let's get to it. I have to know, if you found ground beef and mashed potatoes in your refrigerator, what would you make? I love to hear your ideas. We have a fabulous community here of really wonderful cooks. And so I love to hear in the comments what you guys make. So I would love to know, what would you do with these two things? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a good old-fashioned shepherd's pie. I can't wait to share this one with you, friend. Let's get started. Let's talk ingredients for our shepherd's pie. Here I have a half of a pound of browned ground beef. I have about 2 cups of leftover mashed potatoes. I have a half of a bag of peas and carrots. And if we turn over on the back, we can see that a serving size is a cup. So this is about 2 cups of the frozen peas and carrots. Then I have some diced onion that was in my refrigerator, a clove of garlic that we're going to mince, a teaspoon of tomato paste, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a tablespoon of flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, and a cup and a half of beef broth. Now this is going to be pretty salty with the beef broth and the Worcestershire sauce, so I am not going to add any salt to this. We can just salt the table. And then finally I have some pats of butter and some parsley. Once I put the shepherd's pie together, I'm just going to top the potatoes with the pats of butter. Now let's talk pans. You can put this in an 8x8 glass baking dish, but what I like to do is I like to do it in an oven-safe pan, because that way it keeps it one dish, it keeps the cleanup minimal, and it's just convenient. However, check your cookware to make sure that your pans can withstand 400 degrees. Right now we have our oven heating at 400 degrees, so we want an oven-safe pan that can withstand 400 degrees. All right, let's head to the stove and put this together. I'm just gonna put a little bit of olive oil in our pan. And then we'll add the onions. It's probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of onions. Again, this is about cleaning out your refrigerator. So if you've prepped any onions, like I did, and you have a bag, that's what you'll use. And then I'm going to add the minced garlic. And then once this cooks, we'll add our ground beef. Now that the onions have softened a little bit, we're going to add our beef. And our peas and carrots. Now that our carrots softened, we're going to add our flour and our black pepper. We'll just coat that, and then we'll start adding in our liquids. Now we'll add our tomato paste, our Worcestershire sauce, and the beef broth. Now I'm just going to let this simmer just a little bit until that flour thickens up that broth. Just a few minutes later, and you can see how that's thickened up really nicely. Kind of when I tell you guys how to make your gravy, you want to make tracks in it, same thing. You just want to be able to make a track for your shepherd's pie here. Now we'll just come in with our mashed potatoes and then just put some dollops on the top. And that's all there is to it, other than baking it, of course. me just spread this around. There we go. I'm going to remove this from the heat and let it stop boiling. The one thing about these Henkel pans, they are fabulous, but they sure do cook hot. So we let it calm down just a little bit here. Now we'll put our pats of butter on top. There we go. And a sprinkling of parsley, and then into the oven this goes for about 15 to 20 minutes. As we're waiting for this dish to cook in our oven, I would like to remind you to hit that subscribe button. I'm here every single week bringing you those quick, easy, delicious, affordable meals, and I would love to show up in your YouTube feed every single week. So what do you say? Hit that subscribe button. And if you're going to make this, give it a like. I love to see those too. Alrighty, back to cooking. 15 minutes later, here's what we have. It's hot and it's bubbly. Those mashed potatoes are kind of toasty on the top. It looks and smells amazing. Now, one thing, this is a 12-inch skillet. If you're gonna make this, you could probably get by with a 10-inch skillet, but just make sure it's gonna be deep enough to house all that liquid. So it does tend to spread if you do it in a 12-inch skillet, but either way, it's still gonna be absolutely delicious. Let's go in for the perfect bite. All of those veggies and that ground beef with those yummy potatoes on top. Now, I've told you before, I'm not the biggest fan of leftovers. That's why I tend to make a lot of single meals, but this one does not even feel like leftovers, friends. It is so good. The gravy is so good. It's yummy. If you have some brown ground beef and some leftover mashed potatoes, consider making this one. Even if you don't and you want to make it fresh, you won't be disappointed. It's so good. I'll see you next week.